Get ready to embark on lucid journeys. Explore the Phillip Aisling multiverse.
All right, so welcome everyone to this deep dive. And today we're going to be talking about something pretty wild.
Yeah.
We're going to be jumping headfirst into Phillip Aisling's multiverse.
Have you ever had that feeling that, like, maybe what we experience day to day, maybe that isn't the only show in town?
Yeah.
Like, there could be, like entire worlds, whole other realities kind of humming just beneath the surface of what we usually perceive.
When we talk about lucid journeys, what are the big, recurring themes or ideas that we see in these excerpts?
Well, one thing that really jumps out is this connection between dreams and the possibility of interdimensional travel.
And I think one of the things that I found so compelling was this idea that dreaming, something we all do,
Right.
could actually be something really significant.
Yeah, it's like a gateway to something bigger, something more.
So join us as we journey through the lucid multiverse of Phillip Aisling, where dreams are more than just dreams.
And one last thought for you. If our dreams are glimpses into other realities, what stories might be unfolding within us every night?
That's something to think about.
Yeah. Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're jumping into Carlos Castaneda's The Art of Dreaming. Specifically, we wanted to really explore the first gate of dreaming.
That's right. We've gone through the material, tried to pull out the key ideas. Fascinating stuff.
So our mission today is to unpack this first gate. We'll be talking about, becoming aware while you're dreaming.
That core lucidity moment. And also the role Castaneda gives to what he calls the energy body.
Right, the energy body.
Yeah.
And that specific technique he mentions, looking at your hands in the dream.
Yeah, we'll get into why that's supposedly important. And ultimately, it's about understanding how intention, your own will, starts to shape that dream reality, at least according to Castaneda's framework for this first gate.
We'll also briefly touch on Phillip Aisling's experience, maybe as a sort of case study for crossing this first threshold.
Good idea. It provides a concrete example.
Okay, so the first gate. It all seems to boil down to that initial spark, that realization, wait a minute, I'm dreaming.
Exactly. It sounds almost trivial when you wake up, doesn't it? Of course I was dreaming.
Right.
But Castaneda insists that achieving that awareness inside the dream while it's happening, that's the crucial first step. It fundamentally changes the experience.
How so? What makes recognizing it in the moment such a game changer?
Well, he draws this really important line between just being swept along by a dream, like watching a movie you're somehow in.
Passively experiencing it.
Right. Versus actively realizing you're in the dream environment. That moment of awareness, he says, is when you shift from being just a character to potentially becoming, well, maybe not the director immediately, but at least an active participant.
So it moves dreaming from just, weird nightly processing to a potential field for exploration.
That's the idea in Castaneda's early work on dreaming, yeah.
Yeah.
It opens up a possibility for conscious interaction with that state.
Okay, so if we're becoming active explorers, what's actually doing the exploring? Because it's not our physical body floating around in there, is it? This is where the energy body comes in.
Precisely. Castaneda posits this energy body as a kind of counterpart to our physical form. More subtle, not bound by the same rules.
Okay.
He sees it as the primary vehicle for actually navigating and experiencing these non-ordinary realities, like the dream world. Think of it as the aspect of you that can, operate in that unique environment.
Interesting. So when you have that aha moment, I'm dreaming, what happens with this energy body then? Does it suddenly get soupy powers?
Not exactly superpowers, but the awareness itself seems to activate it differently. It becomes more attuned, more responsive to your conscious intention.
Ah, okay.
So before you're lucid, maybe it's just drifting, reacting. But with awareness, it becomes something you can start to consciously direct, even if just a little at first. It's the tool for exploration, essentially.
Right. It's less passive. And Castaneda actually offers practical techniques for getting to that awareness point, doesn't he? The one that always stands out is looking at your own hands in the dream.
Yes, that's a classic one from his work.
It sounds so simple, almost mundane. Look at your hands. What's the thinking behind that specific action?
The rationale is rooted in how perception works differently in dreams. Castaneda suggests that things we take for granted as stable in waking life, like our hands, often appear, Well, often dreams.
How?
They might be distorted, blurry, have the wrong number of fingers, maybe change shape as you look at them, or even seem like they belong to someone else. They're inconsistent.
Okay, I see. So the act of looking is meant to reveal that inconsistency.
Exactly. That anomaly, that clear difference from waking reality, acts like a trigger. It's a signal flare in the dream saying, hey, this isn't normal consensus reality.
So by intentionally focusing on your hands within the dream and spotting that weirdness, you're essentially doing a reality check inside the dream state.
That's it. It helps solidify the lucidity, that feeling of, okay, yes, I am dreaming right now. It anchors your awareness.
It's like using the dream's own slightly unstable nature against itself to wake up within it.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. You're actively engaging with the dream environment, using a familiar reference point in your hands to highlight its fundamental difference from waking life. It grounds you in the fact of dreaming.
Okay. And speaking of becoming aware, this ties into that Phillip Aisling account, doesn't it? Even though he
Yeah.
didn't seem to use the hand technique, he described a moment of profound awareness in a dream.
Yes, exactly. While his experience, as documented, isn't presented as following Castaneda's steps methodically, that vivid hallway dream is a fantastic illustration of crossing that first gate, becoming lucid.
Can you remind us of the details? It was quite striking.
Sure. He describes finding himself in this incredibly vivid, long, opulent hallway, black and white marble floor tiles,
Yeah, I remember that. And sunlight.
sunlight streaming through leaded glass windows filtered by ivy, a real sense of warmth, like a perfect spring day. He even notes feeling small, despite being tall for his age. It's very sensory.
What's significant about that in terms of this first gate?
Well, the sheer detail and the feeling of presence, it doesn't sound like a typical fuzzy, half-remembered dream. His awareness within the environment seems quite high from the outset,
Almost like the dream itself was so real, it was demanding attention.
possibly. And then there's the voice, right?
Right. As he's sort of taking it all in, wondering where he is, a voice speaks to him directly.
What did it say again?
Something like, I'm in the first door on the left, Philip. Come on in. We have a lot to talk about. It even uses his name.
That personalization, being called by name, the direct instruction, how does that potentially contribute to this sense of awareness?
It feels like it adds a layer of purpose or intentionality to the dream. Like it's not just random imagery. There's an interaction happening. And it's right after this, within that intense, real feeling experience, that Philip explicitly recognizes he's dreaming. He knows it's a dream, despite how absolutely real it feels. That sounds exactly like Castaneda's description of crossing the first gate.
And what's interesting there is, like you said, it doesn't seem tied to a specific technique like looking at his hands. The trigger seems to be the intensity and the directed nature of the dream itself, especially that voice.
So sometimes the dream experience itself can be vivid or strange enough to just snap you into awareness.
That seems to be the implication, yeah. It aligns with this idea that lucidity can sometimes arise spontaneously when the dream presents something that just doesn't fit the normal pattern, something that creates a crack in our usual perception.
Okay, so we've got the initial awareness, the crossing of the first gate. According to Castaneda, what's the next step? How does intention start to play a role once you know you're dreaming?
Intention is huge in Castaneda's work. Once you achieve lucidity, your intention, your focused will, your conscious direction becomes a powerful force, maybe even more powerful in the dream world than in waking life.
So your thoughts can actually start to shape the dream.
That's the core idea. Once you're aware, your intention acts like instructions for the dream environment. If you intend to fly, that focused desire might actually allow flight. If you intend to find something specific,
The intention might guide you towards it.
precisely, your conscious choices, your focused will, begin to influence the dreamscape, the events, your actions within it. And this ties right back to the energy body.
Oh, okay. How so?
The now aware energy body is guided by that intention. Your will directs the energy body, allowing it to navigate, interact, and potentially manipulate the dream reality with
Let me-
purpose.
Awareness first, which activates the energy body's potential, and then intention directs that potential.
You got it. You move from being just talked around by the dream to becoming, potentially, the one steering the ship, using your intention as the rudder and the energy body as the vessel.
It really reframes dreaming, doesn't it? From something passive to something potentially very active and deliberate.
Absolutely. And that shift is the essence of the first gate for Castaneda. It's not just knowing you're dreaming, it's the opening into consciously engaging with that state through the power of your intention. The awareness unlocks the door.
So just to recap the main points for the first gate, it starts with becoming aware you're dreaming.
Check. The pivotal moment.
That awareness allows the energy body to become, let's say, more operational, more responsive.
Ready for direction?
Techniques like looking at your hands can help you achieve and stabilize that awareness by highlighting the dream's nature.
Right, a practical tool.
And finally, once you're lucid, your intention becomes the key force for interacting with and potentially shaping the dream world, guiding that energy body.
That's a really solid summary of the core pieces Castaneda lays out for this initial stage. It's the transition point.
So, thinking about this, for our listeners, Castaneda seems to be suggesting this isn't just about having cool, controllable dreams. It's framed as something deeper, right?
Yes, he presents it as a pathway. Cultivating this awareness and intention in dreams is seen as a way to explore different facets of perception, maybe even understand reality itself in a new way.
And that Phillip Aisling dream, even without the formal technique, really gives a sense of what that initial moment of waking up inside the dream can feel like.
Exactly. It vividly illustrates that crossing of the threshold, setting the stage for whatever might come next, driven by intention.
Okay, let's wrap up this deep dive into Castaneda's first gate of dreaming for now. We've covered that crucial moment of becoming lucid.
That click of awareness within the dream state itself.
And the initial role of the energy body as the vehicle for experience once you are aware.
And those practical techniques like looking at your hands designed to help solidify that awareness, to make it stick.
And we've really touched on how intention begins to emerge as this guiding force, allowing you to potentially shape and navigate the dream world consciously.
We saw how Phillip Aisling's experience, that intense hallway dream, provides a compelling picture of what crossing that gate might look like, even spontaneously.
So the first gate, it's really the starting line, isn't it? The point where dreaming shifts from something that just happens to you to something you can actively participate in.
Precisely. It's the foundation for everything else Castaneda discusses regarding dream exploration, all hinging on that initial spark of conscious awareness.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening to mull over. Think about your own dreams. Have you ever had moments that felt intensely real or where something just felt off?
Yeah, fleeting moments where you almost questioned if it was real.
Exactly. Could those have been maybe your own near misses or brief encounters with this first gate? And building on Castaneda's ideas about intention, what might happen if you started to consciously cultivate that awareness? What possibilities could open up in exploring that inner landscape?